Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and also via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming from our studios in Trinidad. You are welcomed from wherever you are connecting. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, especially speaking on Sutra 29, Devotion Freeze. But mind comes to play an important role. Mind is a process. Mind is a process, it is not something stationary or fixed. River to you seems to be stationary, but it is constantly flowing. It has different moods in it. So too, and that process of the river is known as rivering, a word coined by Hermann Hesse. Mind is a process, it is minding. A process can never be silent, it is always tense, always in turmoil, because it has to move like a pendulum from left to right. Left is past, right is future, in between is the present moment that we go on missing. A process will always be tense, in turmoil, constantly moving. The past goes on being a burden on it, because when you look into your life, past is always a burden because it determines your actions today. So it becomes the foundation for this very moment. So it has, and then it has to move to the future. The constant movement creates another tension within you. If you become too much conscious about it, the past, suppose, take an example. Your one relationship has ended for whatever reasons. You have to enter into another relationship. So your past experience becomes the foundation on which your new relationship structure will be built. Whatever mistakes happened in the past, they are heavy on you. You do not want to commit the same mistake, but the same happens. So this is the process that goes on. This is why we are always engaged in something or the other. We do not want to remain unoccupied. Mind does not want to remain unoccupied. If you are unoccupied, you will become conscious of the inner process that is happening. Sit down silently and see what starts happening in your mind. And that will give you a very strange and peculiar tensions. So everyone wants to remain occupied in some way or the other. There is nothing else to do. One goes on reading the same newspaper again and again. Why? You can't sit silently. You keep on fidgeting. It is difficult because if you sit silently, you become aware of the totally tense process that is happening within. A totally tense process that is happening within. So everyone is in search of some kind of escape. Alcohol can give you that. You become unconscious. So on weekends, because during the week you are doing something or the other, weekend, so normally weekend begins from Friday afternoon and the alcohol starts. The warehouse where we keep our stocks is a cold storage. From Friday evening, afternoon, the process begins. Alcoholing continues. And over the weekend, the people are unconscious. Sex can give you that also. For a moment, you forget yourself completely. Television gives you that. Music can give you that. Anything where you can forget yourself and become occupied so much for that time being, you are as if you are not. This is the process of constant escaping from oneself, is really because of this process that is happening, process of minding. You are unoccupied. If you are unoccupied, and this unoccupiedness means meditation. If you are totally unoccupied, you will become aware of your inner processes. Mind is the basic process within that is happening constantly. That is why so many people say and they move towards meditation. They are not able to handle the situation of the mind, the constant turmoil. So they go to the doctors. Doctors suggest that you should meditate. But when they start meditating, they become more tense. They say we were not so tense before and we were not so worried before. Ordinarily, the whole day we were not so worried, but when we sit in meditation quietly for some time and start meditating, thoughts rush upon us more like a crowd, like a stampede. This is something new to them to think, and we are, for this reason, we do not want to engage in meditation. I have heard once somebody asked Chachaji, Chacha, they used to call him lovingly by his first address, initial Chacha, not Chachaji. That gives a little distance. Chacha, I have a problem when I sit down in meditation, a lot of thought comes in. Chachaji had a unique way of answering. And he used to use the word always Mia. Mia means, it is a Urdu word referring to gentleman. Sometimes when we say to our children, Mr. Gentleman, or address something on a special, for specific reasons. He said, Mia, I have also a big problem. Oh, Chacha, you also have a problem? Yes, I have a problem. What is the problem? So he forget his problem. Now he is listening to Chacha's problem. Mia, when I take a shower, and I put on soap, I find that too much of muck and these dirty things comes out. Oh, chacha, that will happen. When you use soap, naturally the whatever smell of sweat, whatever other muck is there, if you have worked in the ground, in the field and dirt and all that will come out. That is natural. Yeah, that is how it is. When you sit down in meditation, it is like you're soaping your inner self. You are giving a shower to your inner self. So all that you have accumulated during the day, it has to come out. Such a simple way of his teachings. And he explained that. So it is not because of meditation. Thoughts are crowding you every moment of your existence. But you are so occupied outwardly. It is like things are gathering, are coming into your fold, but you are occupied somewhere else and you are not worried about. You are busy in, suppose, take an example of a business. You are busy talking to somebody, but the customers are coming to buy, so there are invoices, bills, money and all that thing keeps on accumulating. In the same way, thoughts keeps on floating, coming to you. Of these you are not aware, and while you are engaged in something else, occupied, whenever you sit down, you become conscious. You become conscious of something you have been escaping constantly. Minding is a process, and the process is an effort. Energy is wasted in it, dissipated in it. It is necessary, it is needed for life, it is a part of a struggle for survival. It is a weapon, and one of the most violent weapons. That is why man could survive over other animals. Animals are more strong physically, but they lack the subtle weapon of minding. They have dangerous teeth. Dogs have canny teeth, dangerous nails. They are more powerful than men, more powerful than men. They can instantly kill a man completely, but they lack one weapon, minding. Because of that weapon, man could kill and survive. So mind is survival measure or mechanism. It is needed, it is necessary, but it is violent. The mind is violent. It is part of long violence that you have undergone, have passed through. You keep on building it through the period of time. So whenever you sit down and you are sitting silently, you feel this inner violence, inner turmoil, inner stampedes, thoughts rushing, violent thoughts, a turmoil, as if you are going to explode. That is why nobody wants to sit silently. During the week, you are busy in the work. Weekend, you want to keep yourself occupied again in something or the other. How many times you would like to sit down just by yourself, turn off the televisions, turn off the phone, nothing there, and relax. But that does not happen. Everybody comes and says, give me support, some kind of support. I cannot just sit silently. So give me a name, give me a word, give me a sutra, give me a zikr, so that I can do it. So this is, zikr is another way of keeping yourself occupied. It is like you do not want to take a shower, so you put on some perfume and put on some makeup. Another layer of makeup on the mock that is there already on the face. So all these zikr, all these mantra chantings and all these things are like putting on the perfume, putting on the makeup. Give me a name I can repeat, then I can sit silently. Really, what are you doing? You are creating new occupation. Then you can be silent because the mind is still occupied. And you do not understand this process. Mind is occupied. When mind is not occupied, you feel more disturbed. To avoid that disturbance, you want to keep the mind occupied 24 hours. Now you are focused on the words Allahu, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So ISKCON people, they have a bag, their hand is in that, a rosary is there, and chanting the name, the mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So continue chanting. The mind is not unoccupied. It is occupied. It is a trick. It is using the perfume on the area which is already have the smell of sweat. So when instead of taking a shower or sponging off or washing, and then you don't need, the body will have a natural fragrance. Then you don't need the perfume. When you meet someone and the amount of perfume smell is coming, that is sometimes nauseating. Yesterday a person came in and the person came to see me to do something, and I could not stay near her within a certain distance because the perfume smell was very strong. Everyone comes and says, so they are looking for some kind of perfume to put on in the form of zikras, chantings and everything. Mind, another thing that you have to understand about mind is created from without. Mind is not an inner creation. How this is created from without? Mind is a process, it is thoughts, it's ideas. All these are coming from outside. Mirza Ghalib says, आते हैं मज़ामी ख्याल में गैब से. They come from an unknown source. You have heard someone, you have read something, you like the idea, it has become a thought in your mind. When you are born, you had just the capacity that is known as mind, processing capacity, but no mind, just a possibility, a potentiality that you can, just like a computer, it has nothing stored in it. It is a process. You can process anything. Then you start storing it. You start storing in your laptop the useless as well as useful things. And then you find it a problem that you have to delete all that after some time. You saved every photograph, but after some time you realize that these photographs are redundant and you have to remove it. So if a child is brought up without society, without a society, the child will grow and he will have a body but not the mind, conditioning, thought process. He will not be able to speak any language. He will not be able to think in concepts. He will be like an animal. Society trains you. It is an important process. Society trains your capacity into an actuality. It gives you a mind. That is why a Hindu has a certain mind, Muslim has a certain mind because he had been conditioned in a particular way. Both are men, but they have different minds. They look at the things differently. A politician looks at everything differently. A religious person looks at the things differently. So everyone looks at the things differently. I have heard 3 people went to see a waterfall in the mountains. Waterfall in the mountain, a beautiful tourist destination. So first was an engineer. He has an engineering mind. What a beautiful example of nature's architect. What a beautiful example of nature's architect. Water is coming, gushing out from below the ground. Nobody is doing it. You can see the froth, you can see the beauty. Next one was a poet. What a beautiful example of nature's poetry. The beauty has gathered in its pristine beauty. Then there was a politician. What a criminal waste of nature's resources. What a criminal waste of nature's resources. So this is how it goes on. I have heard also another, there was a few friends and they were discussing among themselves who is the greatest according to him. Hindu said, of course, Ram, Krishna, all these are greatest. No, who else could be greater than these people? Next one was a Muslim. Who is the greatest? Allah is the greatest. And Holy Prophet is the messenger. Christian said, of course, Father is the greatest and Jesus is the only begotten Son. Really? Then there was a Jew also. Mr. Jew, who is the greatest according to you? Of course, Jesus. You said Jesus? Yes, Jesus. And Jews are against Jesus? He said, so what? But Jesus is my mascot. All business I do in the name of Jesus. Walt Disney is Jew. Albert Einstein is a Jew. And when you go to New York or the big cities, metropolitan cities, where the business are done, are the business owners, they are all Jews. When I used to go to New York and go to the showrooms, there is a Christmas showroom where they have the Christmas, different types of Christmas decoration and the toys which is needed for Christmas season. And throughout the year, when you go to these massive warehouses or showrooms, you see those kind of gaiety throughout the year, as if you have entered the Christmas season has come. They are all Jews. So this is what happens. Then you train them. Then a boy becomes one mind because he is trained as a boy, and a girl becomes another mind because she is trained differently. You teach them differently. You teach boys to think differently, girls to think differently. A Hindu becomes different from a Muslim. Then a theist is different, an atheist is different. These minds are brought up in you. They are conditioned, forced upon you. Because of this, mind as such is always old and orthodox. Whatsoever you have learned, it is said about medical profession, because the doctors are dealing with the human life. So they do not experiment new things. They use the methods which has been tested, verified, and has been declared as success. They may be 20 years old, maybe more or maybe less, but those medical techniques are being used in the treatment in most of the cases. Because of this, mind is very old and orthodox. There can be no progressive mind. Hindu mind is not progressive. Muslim mind is not progressive. What was happening 5,000 years ago or 1500 years ago, the same way we think. This statement may look very strange. There can be no progressive mind. Mind is orthodox because it is a conditioning. So these so-called progressives are as much orthodox about their possessiveness as any other orthodox person. Look at the communist. They think they are very progressive, but Marx Das Kapital, Communist Manifesto, is just authoritative upon him as the Quran is for Muslims, Gita is on Hindus. Now, one of my friends from ESCON keeps on telling me that your problems and all solutions are in Bhagavad Gita. And then he complains that he have some pinch nerve problem in his neck and it is not curing for 30 years almost. So I said, your problems and all solutions are in Bhagavad Gita. Why you don't find it there? I have no answer. Because it has been told to him, conditioned, that all solutions are in Bhagavad Gita. And if you start criticizing Marx, the communists feel as much hurt as a Jan will feel hurt. If you start telling him, criticizing Mahabir, mind is orthodox, and you see it very well, you start telling something against Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu revolts, Muslim revolts, everybody. Mind is orthodox because it is conditioned by the past, by the society, by others for certain purposes. That's why I'm trying to make you aware of this fact. If you are aware of this fact, and if you are doing, then there is no harm. Because life changes every moment. The circumstances and situations are not same. Mind belongs to the past, but the circumstance or situation is now. The problem has arisen now, but the solution that you are using for it is of the past. Mind is always old and life is new, always new. There is bound to be tension and conflict between the two. The old is treating the new. The children, you are a mind trained in the past, but you are dealing with your children who are now. Yesterday a lady came, I told her about the Indian item. He said the children are growing up. They say that they eat pizza, they eat KFC, they eat this. They because the colleges where you are going, there are less people who are eating Chinese or Indian or other dishes. So the whole eating process is revolutionized by the pizza, KFC, Taco Bell, the stores selling donuts, donut and coffee, big Coke and fries. So they are talking about that, and you have to handle those problems. How to handle those problems so you can create your own things. A new situation arises, you fall in love with a woman, you have a Hindu mind and the woman is Muslim. Now there will be conflict. Now there is going to be much anguish unnecessarily. The woman's mind is Muslim and life has brought her to a situation where she falls in love with a different person of a different conditioning. Now life gives you a new phenomenon and mind does not know how to deal with it. There is no know-how, technique, so there is conflict which is bound to be. That is why in this very changing world, people become uprooted. Their lives become anxious. This was not in the past ages, because it was said the marriages were determined by the parents and they take into account more the family backgrounds and all these things. Man was more silent, not so really, but he appeared more silent because the state of affairs around him were almost like static. They never moved out of their village. The development was not there. The modern eateries were not developed there. So not much conflict was there. Now everything is changing so fast and the mind cannot change with that, cannot cope with that change. Mind clings to the past and everything changes every moment. That is why there is so much of anxiety in the West. In the East, the anxiety is somewhat less. This is strange because East has to face the different kind of problems. The food is not there, the basic problems. In the West, in an affluent society, it is better to say between the affluent and less affluent. Affluent has more resources. He is more open to different things. I recall when I was about 15 or 16, I heard someone said pizza. I want to know what is this. So he said pizza is you take a roti, the Indian explanation, roti, and you put on top their vegetables and you eat that. So I said, they don't put the roti and the vegetables on a platter. No, 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 they put it on the roti, because their pizza is a base, and on that the vegetables are put placed. So I want to and try to imagine. So I said my mother does, but she makes it a roll. So that is, we can call it pizza roll. So when we used to go to school, she will take a flatbread, the Indian flatbread, and inside she will put the different vegetables and roll it and give me a. So can that be pizza roll? So in a less affluent society, the mind is not so open, and then these things are not available, so there is less tension. Affluent society, you have an opportunity to travel to different countries, different places. You see the different eating options, but when you come back to your place, you don't see those options, so tension is bound to be there. There you had eaten something Mexican, you in your city it is not available, then the tension arises. So food, the clothes, the house, all these things. So there is the affluent society and less developed society. Again, there is a gap. Life is bringing new situations and opportunities. Each moment when you are interacting with a person, it is an altogether new situation, but the mind always tries to react with the old conditioning. You will respond and try to solve the new problems with the old techniques. The gap widens. The more gap is there, the more will be the anxiety, and mind is orthodox, but life is not. Life is progressive. The situation that life brings on a moment to moment basis is new. So these are the reasons why mind itself is a disease. First you have to understand this, then how devotion frees. So what to do? If you are going to treat the mind, there are easy ways. Psychoanalysis is easy. It may take a long time. It may succeed, it may not succeed. But still it is not difficult. It is a process. But it is a transcendence of the mind. But this transcendence of the mind, changing your way of thinking, is difficult, arduous, because you have to leave the mind completely. You have to leave the old pattern of thinking, your conditionings. You have to take wings to go beyond. To go beyond, you cannot walk parallel to the path that you have known. You have to take the wings and move up, not horizontal. That's why the swimming and diving are two different things. So you are diving deeper into you. For example, I am here, the room is hot. I can do two things. I can put on the air conditioner in the room, but I continue to live in the room. I can go on making arrangements so that the room is not hot. That can be done by putting on the air conditioner in the room, but I continue to live. But then every arrangement has to be looked after, and then every arrangement will create its own anxieties and problems and maintenance. The room is hot, there is no proper ventilation, you put on the air conditioner. So you have to install air conditioning, then you have to maintain it, you have to put on, you have to come in, but it is hot. Like when you turn on when your car is parked in the sun, there is the air conditioner installed in it. If it is not, then different thing. So you install an air conditioner in the car. The sun is hot. As soon as you open the car and you sit down, the hot air is there. It is very hot. You put on the air conditioner, it will take time for it to cool. So sometimes you open the window for the air to cross ventilation, and it will take time for air conditioner to work. So this is one thing. I can put on the air conditioner in the room. When I come, I switch on the air conditioner. It will take time before the temperature reaches to the comfortable level. But then every arrangement has to be looked after. Every arrangement creates its own anxieties and maintenance. There is another possibility. I can leave the room and go out. This is the difference. The West goes on living in the same room of the mind and trying to adjust by putting on the air conditioners and different mechanisms, so that living in the mind becomes at least normal. This is what the psychoanalysis is. It may not be blissful, but it becomes less and less unhappy. It may not reach a point, the peak of happiness. It may not reach there, but one is saved from too much suffering. There is less and less suffering. So you spend most of your time in air-conditioned atmosphere. So you get accustomed to body temperature, and so when you go out, it feels uncomfortable. Freud has said there is no possibility for man to be happy. At the most, you can arrange your mind in such a way that you are normal. You will be less unhappy than others. So when you have installed an air conditioner in your room, you will be relatively comfortable and better off than anybody else. But this is hopeless. But Freud is very genuine, authentic thinker, and his insight is right in a way because he cannot see anything beyond the mind, and psychology says mind is a disease, but we can adjust it. Your room, it does not have a proper ventilation, the airflow, so it is a problem. The other thing is you install air conditioner. So Sigmund Freud suggests you to install air conditioner in your mind. And he says we can do it. So psychoanalysis is putting on air conditioner in your mind. East has not developed really psychology. It is called manovigyan, the science of knowing the mind, and either you can install the air conditioner or you can put on some windows or something there. So But at the same time you install the air conditioner also, there will be time when you don't need the lights, you don't need the air conditioner always. Just open the windows. If there is raining outside, you open the window, the cool breeze comes in, natural breeze. That is why East has not developed a psychology comparable to Freud, Jung or Adler. And that is strange because East has been talking about the mind for more than 5,000 years. So Vigyan Bhairav Tantra is a very technique, it is based entirely on the psychology. With 5,000 years talking about mind, meditation, going beyond, why can't East create psychology? Psychology is a very recent development in the West. Why could not the East create psychology? Buddha was here. He talked about the deepest layers of mind. He talked about conscious. Krishna is the father of the modern psychology because he understood the nature of the wavering mind. Arjun's mind was fickle, wavering. He understood it and he gave the techniques to it. He did not tell him to install the air conditioner. Buddha was here who talked about the deepest layers of the mind. Krishna understood the wavering mind. He talked about conscious, about the conscious. He talked about the subconscious. He talked about the unconscious, different layers. He must have known. But why could not he develop psychologies about the conscious, subconscious and unconscious minds? There is a reason in it. I will discuss this in tomorrow's session. Until then, take care and do have a pleasant day.